does that feel? Just knowing the response, just being part of it.
Excited and thankful.
It's a surreal experience. You know, you walk through life and you get into a place that is, it's magnificent. I mean, I remember seeing Star Wars when I was a little boy, and then the idea that it's hard to really lay into you how tremendous it is, the experience that is occurring in the moment, you know? And I'm just really honored. It's a privilege to be here and in the show and all of that.
So, in case you don't recognize them, Sala, you are the Platoonian, what are you, I guess they're not. Yeah, but they're like the bad guys of episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
And you are what I call the Mandalorian mountain of this one. If you've seen Game of Thrones, and so you were the heavy armor, the big gun guy.
Yep.
You've been a,
Heavy infantry mondo.
You were in the first episode. Or you were in the
And then I opened the. I mean, wow. And then that part when I played Alpha Trawler, I had no idea what was happening. I was sitting on Monday evening and I was in a conversation and then 48 text messages 15 minutes later, and I had no idea what had happened. Apparently, people watch Monday Night Football, and that being opened, it was like the magnificence of what that was incredible, and that performance for me, it was the pinnacle of my career for sure, and to be able to go and speak Huttese on national television, I mean, it's the whole thing has just got me in goosebumps.
So I'm gonna clear the elephant out of the room right now and ask this. It's got to be asked. Baby Yoda, have you met him, and is he as nice as we think he is?
Super sweet.
Kind of
as advertised.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the coolest character for us, knowing and growing up with the Star Wars world in the 70s, with the elder Yoda, and to meet the pre-Yoda being so cute before he gets the lightsaber. It's kind of awesome. But then you see his strengths and all these the goodness that happens later on. Don't worry. No, I'm just talking about later when he fights Windu.
I thought Baby Yoda had a lightsaber. I'm like, that is amazing.
It's like you've never been in this universe before.
I'm freaking out with Lord Baby Yoda with a lightsaber. No. But it's actual Yoda with a lightsaber.
Yeah, actual Yoda. So it's like cool to see him being born into the Mandalorian series and to be with these amazing characters that will keep going on for the next 40 years. But to be on the show with Favreau and Tate and a lot of other great characters who are going to continue to, be released in these series is kind of a dream come true for me. I know that it's the same way with Tate, but to be in the Star Wars universe is kind of like a dream come true in any way, shape, or form. So for me, again, it's another one of those childhood dreams that has kind of come true again.
Yeah, because both of you have been in some major things. You were in Breaking Bad, especially the last 5 episodes were the best 5 episodes of Breaking Bad.
I only come on for the best parts of shows.
Yeah, I know. It's like
we're greedy.
Yeah, we don't need anybody because we're doing good on our own. But you know what? We'll add a little tape.
And then it turns it up. You know, you think you were at 10 before.
Yeah. And then of course we have the main evil of Sauron in Lord of the Rings. So there's that whole.
There can be only one.
And so let's talk about how you got that point, because you two are what I would call real working actors, not celebrity superstars.
They all need a beating by Tate and I at some point.
Oh yeah, or you get beaten by them. The one thing you've done together, The Equalizer, where Denzel Washington pretty much handed your butts at a Lowe's.
Well, look, we understood in the movie that he couldn't get it done, so they had to bring in the heavy artillery to deal with such a man.
It's true. And Matt Leonard to bring up the triumvirate of strength that was the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, the Equalizer. I don't know if you've seen it, but there was another underlying theme going on.
Yes. So.
And I got to say too, going back to Yoda, that I'm so impressed. I mean, what a privilege to be with guys that are holding this crucible, carrying the torch for Star Wars, with such an aesthetic and with such an attention to the beauty of what Star Wars was, which is, to me, the animatronics and the artistry of the craftsmen that created the show. I mean, when you look at the original Star Wars, it stands up against anything with CG in it, anything, and it's all craftsman. And that was the same with with Baby Yoda. It's like they made Baby. It's not a computer graphic. It's such a beautiful thing to be a part of. To be something that's truly organic, and that is this otherworldly, truly organic, gunfight in outer space. It's amazing.
And yet, even though it's really rooted in that old school technology, it's also using some of the most state-of-the-art technologies. They've got this new thing. I'm not sure if either one of you have experienced that, where they have the sets. They have like virtual sets instead of green screens. They actually have projected, Unreal Engine
3D sets.
Yeah. So, can you talk about that a little bit? I'm an inner geek is really excited about it.
I signed a confidentiality agreement where it allows me not to talk about any Star Wars. So
It's the most amazing set I've ever been in.
it's an amazing set. I love it.
Never saw anything like it. Bringing video gaming into movie and telecommunications is an amazing feat that they're really undertaking. I'm not sure if they knew how it would turn out, and they really took a swing and they nailed it.
So if you don't know, a lot of the sets, like I said, instead of green screens, they actually have screens with video, computer-generated video of the sets. So that way you don't have to be out in the dune sea, or you were in that very nice, not necessarily a swamp planet, but it was like a farm forest kind of situation, where they could do the shots in frame. They're doing the CGI in frame. So I thought that was amazing. So is it as real looking as we see it? Because they've had people tell me that it's sometimes you can't tell.
It's really trippy and interesting because you're looking at, like, this can be the size of the volume that we're in, but at some stages when you're looking around, you get slight glitches like in the Matrix. And the whole wall will just like disappear and change into a different wall where you're like, is that the bottom or the roof or the floor or where the...
It's got a Windows blue screen of
it'll
death.
glitch straight back again. So your perception, because there's thousands of cameras behind this wall, which are basically colors and lighting, it's unbelievable what it does to your eyes, because there's all these characters in the volume and the walls completely change. And because they're kind of 3D, it really messes with your brain. But it's amazing.
And you're also where you are. When I'm inside the bar and the door, that aperture door, which is so cool, there is not CG, that's a functioning mechanical door. It's amazing. But I'm looking out that door, and it's the ice world. And that's where I am. And I'm in a set, but I'm not in a set, man. You're elsewhere. So as a performer, it's a really special thing because it can be a little dodgy when you're, I've worked with dinosaurs that were guys with dinosaur heads on a stick, right? You know what I mean? And so to be in a place where this is actually occurring is an amazing feat. And I think it really lends to the whole storytelling and everybody being really deeply into their character and into the story.
Yeah, because I can only imagine being there helps you both be who you are. You don't have to worry about pretending to be in this environment because all you have to do is look at your blind eyes and they're telling you you're right there. So you both may not be able to be recognized right away because you're under a lot of prosthetics, and then you're not doing a Tony Stark digital thing. That's is that an actual suit or is that?
Yeah, that's a suit.
Yeah, because sometimes Robert Downey Jr. doesn't have to wear the suit anymore. He just has to wear the top, and they put
Is that right?
Yeah, they
I
put
had no idea.
they computerized the head. So I figured,
Come on, Robert Downey, get it together. You put a little work in, right? What is this? So he's got a place on Abbott Kinney. He can afford things. Let's go ahead and wear the suit.
So you've been put on notice. JDR, Tate Fletcher wants you to get your act together. So how long does the prosthetics take for you? Because it's an amazing, and you're used to that. You played orcs in Lord of the Rings, and in fact, you're one of the most recognizable orcs in my mind. Because when I saw a picture of you and your handsome face like this, I'm like, oh yeah, that was that semi-handsome orc that we saw in the movie. You kind of
For an orc, he was hot.
He was the best. You were the best looking orc there because you looked very similar to who you were. They just uglied you up. So,
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
I'm only here for you. So how long does that take to get into the Clatuan?
It actually was prosthetics has changed over the years from applications to the new types of applications that they're using for the masks. Now they have these really great pull-on masks that basically they look really good. they're almost like just as good as a regular prosthetic, except for you just kind of pull them on like a mask. So they've gotten to be really good enough so you can shoot them almost straight on with those masks. So it was, you know, it literally takes about 8 minutes.
Oh, good. So it's
So-
is it form fitted to your head, or is it just anybody?
Yeah, some of them-
anybody with a general head shape like yours will work.
Well, mine's not really the general shape, as Tate would know, but
Yeah, you're right. You have to get a different one.
so
That means your helmet's safe.
Right, that's my helmet.
yeah, I don't, yeah, Mandos. Anyway, so yeah, it's easier to put on the mask. It's like they're fun because they, like you said, once you put on the costume and the mask, you kind of, once the thing's on, you pretty much start breathing like the character, and you turn into this ego of the mask that turns on.
And when you first saw yourself, what was your feeling?
Pretty amazed because I had never seen that character before, but then when I realized I had a cape, it kind of changed the whole thing. I was like, it's a cool character, dog-faced character as a cape.
Yeah, Lando's got a cape.
Yeah, but Lando's not me. So, so that was, it was awesome because if you see in the detail the character, the costume of the character, it's like the costume designers on this show are amazing. So the detail in all those costumes are really fun to wear and help you get into the character.
So you weren't necessarily aware of your creature before they told you what you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You, on the other hand, you're going to be a Mandalorian, and there's no doubt
I
of what that
wasn't
is.
sure for a moment. You know, I got hired as one character, and then they talked about me doing this other character. So I went out to an effects house, and they start measuring me, strip down in Under Armour, measure out every finger joints, the minutia. It was amazing,
And not even
I
necessary.
didn't even have any idea that what I was going to be until they bring in this helmet, and I go, wow, that's Boba Fett's helmet with this matte black, and they're like, we just need to see if this fits, and I was like, oh, I mean, that was a moment for
It's
me
gonna
where I was
fit.
like,
I don't-
oh, yeah, you're right, we'll make it fit.
I don't know what size
You gotta
it is.
shave
It's
an
gonna
ear
fit.
off, whatever.
It's going to fit.
But that was beautiful.
Tie back
Those
the
folks that
mustache.
made it all happen. I mean, it's an amazing process to be a part of. When you look at all the excellence, everybody at their job at that level is just like the excellence that they bring into the show. It's an amazing thing to be a part of, and it's humbling. It really. It's something that just sets me down and goes, wow, thank you. You're just in that thank you kind of state all the time, and you hope you carry it well. You know, I guess you get hired there, and the enormity of what that is falls upon you. Especially like the Mandalorian character for me, I think. You know, I mean, to play the tough guy in the bar is kind of easy, but there's not like a sense of honor, integrity. There's not a mantle that you're carrying that needs to be dealt with in a certain way, and so that was, it was weighty, you know, to feel that it was not without with some kind of lightness that I went about it. It was something that, you know, this is a tremendous, you know, it's an honor costume that I have on. It's something that this is the highest standard of what they believe in, and these are people that aren't paid, they're not heralded, they're not acknowledged in any kind of way, they're hidden away, and they have this deep, deep sense of honor and integrity that they're going to uphold regardless, and to have that be you know, the arc of this story, and to see the Mandalorian travel that arc and become what we're seeing, you know, as he saves Baby Yoda, and as it goes on, it's a beautiful thing, and I really loved it. The premiere, Werner Herzog had mentioned that the thing that struck him the most about this that was super, super special is that in film we lost mythology in a lot of ways, and besides like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and things like that, it's like Star Wars, man. Like that Star Wars is almost, you know, I mean, you start listening to Yoda. I remember as a kid listening to Yoda, and you're like, if that's not the most sensible religion I ever heard, I don't know what is. And you look at the mythology that is, and the goodness that arcs forward, and it tells people that things matter that aren't superficial or superfluous, and maybe you're not acknowledged more for it, but it matters anyway. And to bring that kind of a sense to film, where people can watch it and want to be better and want to do better and want to walk a little straighter, I think that's a really cool thing to be a part of, man. And it's just like a lucky happenstance that's like a side effect that I had no idea about going in. But that's the truth of this, is that this is a remarkable endeavor in that way.
Yeah.
And I want to say that that kind of attitude that you bring to it, and everybody brings to it, is kind of why it's extra special, because people are taking it seriously, and not so seriously that we can't have a fun little baby Yoda when we turn it on the radio, but they've taken the entire project so seriously and putting so much love into it that just being a small part, like you're there walking by, you're the guy who has to beat someone up in a bar. You're being on set is important to you, and that comes through on everybody.
Tremendously. It was never lost on me. Like, this is a really formidable thing, because what the endeavor was pretty awesome too, that they were trying to pull off with, as we said, all the video graphics and everything that was going on behind the scenes. It was a tremendous undertaking, and to see it pulled off with such a plum and a cleanliness, it was really beautiful. There doesn't seem to be any residual muddiness or anything. I love that they're all standalone episodes. You can enjoy it for a half hour on any episode you pick up on, or it's completely episodic. Like, there's a genius in that. It's really, really lovely, man. Yeah. You guys know.
Yeah. And you've been a part of like a huge franchise like Lord of the Rings. Did that prepare you to come into Star Wars a little easier? Because Lord of the Rings is not something you just kind of go, oh, it's a gig. It's a gig, but it's like a prestigious gig. The fact that you're Sauron means something to millions of people, and it means something to you. Now you're going into Star Wars, which means a lot to millions of people again. Did that prepare you for the weight, or is that something you have to fight with every time you get a new project?
No matter what dream you have and what learning lessons that come in your path, that dream will still be that dream. Like Star Wars, I mean, I've always wanted to be a Jedi my whole life, but I started on the dark side, right, with Sauron, right, which is like, I don't care, I just wanted to be I wanted to work. And going through like Lord of the Rings, and then, because I didn't get Sauron until later on in the project. We were shooting 19 months full time, and it wasn't until the end of that 19 months where they decided to reshoot Sauron. So doing all of that, doing all the other films that I had done, the other franchises, was still, like Star Wars was still up there as like, oh man, Star Wars. And then to slowly find out I was gonna maybe be a part of it and go in for it, I was like, because I turned down another large job to do this. I was up to
It's a large job, it's a heartbreak job. It's a job that, like, you hold your breath and it sucks all the air out of your chest to say no to that job. That's the kind of job he's talking about that he turned down.
You're supposed to be the new Batman, right?
But then to be a part of this, to get sucked into this world.
Yeah.
And those are those things about staying true to yourself, and that the best thing is there to happen as long as you're putting in good work, I think. I mean, it's a real testimony to that.
Because I could have turned down the chance. I mean, I could have been on a job where I would have been with all of my friends, all of my people from my culture, and work in a place which is close to my home, in the islands.
Which is New Zealand, not in Tennessee, if you guys are mixed up about that.
And to then go and do a job with all of my Polynesian friends and people. I had to turn that down to do 7 days on a job that I'd loved and always wanted to be a part of. And turn down 31 days to be on Hobbs and Shaw, to be on Star Wars World. Because that's what was my dream. So doing that, like, it was hard because I was like, fire out, I love both of them. But which path is for me? To be comfortable, to go my own way. And I chose this world because it was like, Star Wars, man, all right.
You still can get all these jobs down the road.
There's gonna be plenty more of those.
Yeah.
But like, I'm a fan. Like, we're fans. Even though we're in the industry, we're fans of Star Wars before. Everyone's a fan of something. Every single human is a fan of some show that's changed them or journeys of their life. So it's like, to be in this is like, oh yeah, awesome. this is amazing, and to have, like, to work with friends and do the same things and walk the same paths. It's these journeys just like the Mandalorian. Walk your own path, you meet all these people, you learn, you do whatever's best for you, but you gotta walk your own path. So it's just, it's like a dream come true to be part of the Star Wars world now. And to kind of give back to the fans even more than what we have, because they've carried us for so long. Conventions, autograph signings. Like, I've been doing this for 20 years. Conventions.
This is my first time.
And this is Tate's first one. And I got him into it.
Good man.
But, like, he's another formidable person who's done a lot of great work that will continue to scare you for the rest of your life. You know, or be that loving, real person of characters. Once you all get to see these villains who aren't real villains in real life, see the real sides of these humans, you'll really start to see the real people.
I think it's a trip. It's a trip sitting here right now in front of you guys. Like, this is a trip, right? Like, and I get to sit here with one of my best friends who,
I'm sorry.
who, you know, the life arc of Sala is amazing to me. That brings here to have Steve Young in the room tonight. Like, it's like to have guys like you, you know, on my side, and to have this whole world of Star Wars. Like, you know, to think that you've done. You know, when I go into a job, all I think is like, man, I want the person that asked me here to be glad he asked me after I'm finished. You know, that's the number one thing. And the person that asked me here, all he wants is that you guys think that he made the right choice, right? Like, that's the end of the day. And so I just want to do service to that goal. I don't want to be necessarily goal oriented, but I sure don't want to miss the mark by not preparing, by not doing well, and by not carrying it with the kind of esteem and such that it needs to. I mean, and so I'm real grateful to all you guys, because it feels like being here at this is, like I said, my first convention. It's like having a whole family. I mean, the way that you all come together, particularly the Mandalorians and the 501, is just, it's a tremendous thing that, you know, it's come together in this fantasy thing, but out of like a deep sense of honor and a deep sense of love and camaraderie amongst each other, and looking at the similarities with each other and not the differences, and these are the things that bind us, you know, and so this mini culture, it's like, I think from the rest of culture, so much can be gleaned from you guys, man. Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, they may have seen you, especially with your mustache. You have a very, and of course you're very handsome.
Isn't that thing amazing?
Yes.
I don't really blend.
Yeah. But you pop. When people see you on screen, oh, I know that guy. When they announced you, your name wasn't familiar, but as soon as I saw your face, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's that guy.
That guy.
And, you know, I'd seen you strangle Robert Downey Jr. In Sherlock, but I don't think people actually know much about you guys as human beings. So how did you guys get into acting? What was the thing that led you to be first into the movies from New Zealand? Was it just that, you know, Peter Jackson just forced everyone from New Zealand to be in the movie?
I mean, there was that.
It's not
It's like, is if you're tall, you're an orc. If you're short, you're a hobbit. If you're in between, we'll find something.
I really would put it down to my father. I'm one of 9 boys and 2 girls, and we lived in a humble home in New Zealand, and my father made sure everyone had a job in the house, so that everyone was doing something at every time of the day, because and his thing was that, son, you can't just be good at one thing anymore. That's what he kept on saying. You can't be good at one thing anymore, and this was in the late 70s, early 80s. So he basically put us through the ringer. We watched Blue Hawaii movies, we watched all of the Jesus of Nazareth, we watched all these movies with church plays, and that's where I got my theater, church plays and youth groups and all these things. And with the way my dad raised us to constantly be doing stuff, constantly learning in the church life, which was a lot of performance-based singing and that part of the artistry was kind of what I believe got my hustle and my grind and wanting to be constantly good at things was what pushed me to kind of become the artist and not go to the other sides of what people were doing, finance or whatever. I was stuck in the arts and I couldn't get out of it, and I was like, well, this is my way. This is the way.
Full circle.
And so I Lord of the Rings came along. My friend tried to get me to go into an audition, and I said no. 4.5 hours later, I went in and I ended up auditioning as an extra, and I got in, and he didn't. So it just all came from an audition process that I ended up auditioning for Lord of the Rings and got in as an extra. And they said, why don't you try for the stunt team? And then I got in, and then worked as one of the stunt guys, and then they wanted guys to fight Vigo.
Well, sure.
So they needed big Urukai to fight Vigo. So that's kind of how my career started, and then kind of spent 19 months shooting 3 movies back to back, learning the film industry as my first movie.
And you had no experience with stunts before then? Maybe not even combat acting in class?
I mean, combating with my father and my brothers. I mean, like every family.
My brothers, scrap a little.
Yeah, there's a limit.
Good fight.
Oh yeah,
But I mean, I was getting thrown across that room. It was more like, but
yeah. When did they teach you not to actually physically hit the people? So, because that's the stunt acting. Is that what it is? It's like if you get hit, you're good to go. Because you started the same way. You were an MMA fighter,
Right.
and so I can see your progression into stunts
Well,
because
they were only very sure to go, hey, you know we don't really hit each other here. When I transitioned into stunts from MMA, they're like, okay, actual combat
it's
athlete,
not
let's
real.
okay, we mean this. Everyone misses. Everyone misses.
everyone misses
Now I
tape.
found out later that that's not true. Not everyone misses, and there's some guys that don't miss a lot. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to think of the guy. It's Harrison Ford punched the crap out of him in Blade Runner.
Rutger Hauer.
Gosling. I was going to say Ryan Reynolds,
Ryan
Ryan
Gosling.
Gosling. So even the best, and Harrison Ford's got a great reputation of being a good actor who can do his own stunts.
Is that right?
Often gets clocks people.
Huh.
So is that what?
I didn't know he had that reputation.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah. So
Spreading
maybe
rumors.
someday you'll be able to beat him up.
Well, it's all love sometimes.
All right. But I can see your progression. So you were doing MMA.
Right.
What's that like? 'Cause
Awesome.
I'm a little guy.
Freedom.
I'm in the MM. Right?
There's weight classes, so.
Yeah, I'm like in the. Well, I got the weight down. That's
Yeah,
the problem. I don't have
like you're 165 right now.
Oh, that's
So we would
very
want
nice of
to
you to say.
cut you down to like 135 in your frame, not to be a cut at your weight or anything like.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that
No, I'm
reasonably.
You said 165. We'll go with that. Thank you very much. But
It was awesome. It was like an easy transition in a way. It was because for me it was like when somebody says, "Are you ready to fight? Are you ready to fight?" And then it's on you, man. And this is it's like the fight then is internally. How do I get to a flow where all my training has taken me into a position where I can do this effortless thing and I can seamlessly piece these different kinds of action together, unbeknownst to my opponent who's trying to do the same things to me, and how do I take him out of that rhythm? And in film, it's the same way. It's yours to lose as soon as they say action. And so in that, I found that pressure, like that's the thing I like about life is pressure. I like to have that on me because I can perform then. If there's nothing at stake, it's very hard for me to really turn it up. But if there's high consequences, man, that can really put your whole spirit and your body into collusion with one another so that you can get some beautiful art. And that's what I see in athletes and in artists and musicians. I see it in comedians. I see it all over the place. But without stakes, without consequences. I think that's why one of the most horrible parts about, when we speak about like, oh, we're going to all play soccer and we're not going to keep score or whatever. It's like all these kinds of things, these competitions, man, they make us as a community greater. They don't drive us apart. So me as an artist, I know that I need that. So I search out that kind of thing, and I find them to be very similar in that regard. The difference being that as an actor or an action performer, it's like I have to get my performance from you, right? So now I have to work in collusion with your body and your mind and I have to make you great. And the more I'm thinking about making you great, the better that scene is, you know. And if we both have that in our minds, man, that's a win. And if you can set that tone on a set, and I think that's what, you know, Dave Filoni, Bryce Howard, Deborah Cho, John, they all do so beautifully, is like you can bring that vibe. You know, culture starts from the leader. And if you have a culture that's built to make everybody better, well, man,
Yeah.
that's a huge win, right? But that doesn't just happen. It's not like you just put a couple of different entities together and make magic. You know, that's not what chemistry is. And so these guys that can kind of create culture in that way, that's a simple kind of magic, man. It only comes from long, arduous hours, seeing what's wrong, how not to do it 1,000 ways, and constantly sharpening the sword. You're always looking to sharpen the sword so you can cut quick, swift, and better, so that you can get better results. And I feel like it's everything in life is that way. I mean, people think about fighting it because it's, you know, it looks a certain way, right? It looks a certain way to me too. Now that I look back on it, it never looked dangerous to me when I was fighting. It never seemed to say that. It's like it never looked violent to me. To me, I'm always looking at an expression of an art, and so I look at it differently now. I'm like, that looks violent.
That's all I see is, you know, ears dangling, blood, and,
Right.
and with MMA, that's where they're like, even when the guy's somewhat down, they're kicking him and fighting him and to make sure that he's actually down.
Sometimes, yeah. There's a lot of things that can happen. There's
Yeah.
a lot,
You don't fight anymore, Tate. You're an actor.
you know, now I guess the fight is with yourself, right? How do I create that culture, and how can I spread that down the chain from me? How can I set people at ease in the room so they can bring their A game? How can I get the best out of the people around me? You know, that tends to be where the struggle is now, and that comes with how you comport yourself and how I bring myself to the party. And so I spent a lot of time in that kind of development. I mean, to think that I'm going to get a job and listen, man, I've had career-ending injuries. I know I'm not coming back from this. That wasn't true. I've had things that I've gone, oh, I got a SAG award now. That's going to make all that. Doesn't matter. It's just stuff that happened yesterday that I can wear that experience and bring it forward to make my next experiences maybe fuller or richer or something. But none of that stuff matters. So my whole life is built on failures. I mean, everything I've ever done, I don't see a lot of success in it, but I'm trying, you know. And so I feel like it's more important than to shoot for the result of success, or I want to get on this or that, and just stay in the try. And the more I stay in the try, the more wins I get. You know, the more I fail, the more wins I get, right? And it's something like that, you know, changing the way I feel about the failure, I guess.
And as you guys progressed, you went from, you were stuntmen on camera, but then they actually wanted you. Like, we want you to be a character. We don't want you to play a stunt double. We want you to be actually a person. So you move into the acting roles. I don't want to diminish stunt work because it's amazingly important. But now you're in the forefront. They want you because you're bringing something as a character.
But here's the thing, like in the industry, is just because someone starts in one department, it doesn't mean they were never in another department. Just because you started in craft service doesn't mean you can't direct a movie next week. Like, that's the thing with how the industry puts you in certain boxes, right? Where just because we started in stunts, it didn't mean that we weren't actors. You know, it doesn't mean that we can't do everything. And that's the thing, anyone can be an actor given the time or space to breathe and grow that, right? That's why people turn from actors to directors. Like, that's why, just because they started in that doesn't mean that that's what they're gonna be. But when we build up the actor and we don't build up the effects person who's making the actor, or the makeup department who's making the actor look great. Like, there's 16 different departments in this industry that's making one project look great. So, like, yes, the actor is great, but it's like everyone can have a chance to do that. Like, anyone can be an actor. Doesn't matter where you start. just start. That's my thing. Like, let's build up everyone to have a chance at everything, so that not just me and Tate can be up here, any kid who's sitting here and can have a dream can do whatever they want. That's what we want to build and structure around here, so that everyone can have a chance to tell their story, so that we can all understand we're all going through the same stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone, you, me, all of us think we all go through the same struggles of life, of how to pay our bills, how to raise a family, how to live, how to support ourselves. Are we getting older? Are we younger? Like, it's the same thing. But if we just help each other and raise and like Tate's saying, be the best that you can be, whatever it's gonna be, then let's support that, right? And not support just the people who are in front of the camera, because then we're not being true to all the people who are doing the work. We're just going, oh, it's the actor that did all the, there's about 500 people behind that camera that no one sees, that are still having to 12 hours before they go see their kid at night to make dinner after a 12-hour day of playing with superheroes.
Yeah, there's a lot of fingerprints on us to make us look good, for sure. And I think the main thing is that I heard these things when I was a kid. I grew up in Michigan, and in the town I grew up in, there's not any professional athletes or Olympians. There's no authors. There's not, like, you can be in the military, merchant marines, or a criminal, kind of. It's like there's not a lot of choices, and looking at that, you get these things like, oh, if you want to be an actor, it's 1,000,000 to 1, man. You're not. The odds are just crazy. You better play the lotto. It's better for you, right? And that was a bunch of people that never tried that are giving me advice. Those people that never did it will tell you just how to do it, right? And the fact is that if you don't ever quit, that's the only thing that separates people that win and don't. Is like, if you quit, for sure you're not gonna. If you don't quit, I promise you'll win. And that's the truth of it, is you just stay in the try. And so my thing is like, how do I curate myself? Is go, man, I just want to stay curious and I want to stay in the try. What else am I interested in? And that's kind of the level for me is like, I run down this road of being an MMA fighter, and then I go, okay, and I jump, oh, you want to be in this film thing? Wow, cool, all right. And I do this and I get it because of my athleticism into the stunt world. And then I go, oh, okay, this is where this goes, and this is what this is. What's next? What could I do? Man, well, I'd like to perform and engage in a fuller way with the audience and all that. Like, well, how do I get in the act? Well, you're gonna have to take classes, and you're gonna have to get on set. And then Vincent D'Onofrio told me one time, he goes, actually classes don't matter a whole lot. The only way you're really gonna get better, Tate, is if you get roles in films where you can play on camera and do that. That's the only class there is. And I was like, great. Because it's kind of like if you go, hey, you go up to me and go, I want to be an actor, Tate. And then what do I got to do? I'll do anything. What do I got to do? Well, first you got to get a SAG card. Well, how do I get a SAG card? You got to say some words or do some action in a movie. Well, how do I get? Well, you got to have a SAG card before you can do the words. It's like this circle that you can't get into. And so it's like anybody, you want to just pummel the person giving you this advice of how to get a SAG card. It's impossible, right? And it's that those same kinds of circles. It's like, but once you break through, you can go. You get into this state of just like putting in the try, and you go. If it doesn't matter what the outcome is, I can go ahead and I can be in this flow, and I can maybe produce something better than I thought I could. And that becomes the art form of acting. And so Vincent says all that to me, and I go, great. So you tell me I can't work. And then the next thing I know, I get a couple calls for movies that have fat scripts with a lot of words for Tate to say in them. And I'm like, God, how does that happen? But the fact is like it doesn't just happen all of a sudden. I've been in the work for 15 years, and then you show yourself by your body work. And I don't know how it all works, but I know that if I'd have stopped when I'd have gotten frustrated, it never would have occurred. And so I look at frustration as that point where I go, I don't rot in the hatred of the frustration. I go, this is where an epiphany is about to happen. And that never happens unless I'm frustrated first. If I'm highly frustrated and it's a horrible problem to solve, I go, right on, man, because there's going to be a bright light right on the other side of this frustration. If I can just harness it to stay in the frustration long enough and not run from it, if I don't shrink from it. And I think that's the thing, is for me, it's an effort to remain standing up straight in my life, you know, and to do honor to my ancestors and my family and my people that have supported and loved me. You know, that's it.
And I do want to take this time, and we still have time, if you want to ask any questions of these two, or if you just want to, you know, wrestle with them a little bit. They're ready to go. You're dressed so well. Look at this. You've got.
He's one of the most handsome men in America. The way this guy dresses, it's just phenomenal. I just try to catch up as much as I can. I showered twice last week.
And I appreciate the second time. One of the things you guys both worked on together, and I already mentioned it, was the Equalizer. And that's where when I was looking, I'm like, oh yeah, what was it like working together? Because, I mean, I think that's the one time that you guys actually...
Well, here's what happened. Like I first met Tate in New Mexico, and we'd met on one job. Was it the
Transcendence.
Transcendence.
And then the guest came after, I believe.
Yes, so we worked on a Johnny Depp movie called Transcendence, and we literally, when we met, it was like two H-bombs going off. Like, it was unbelievable, the amount of energy that was like, hey, I love you. All of a sudden, we literally worked on 4 jobs back to back.
I mean, and in different states, like we're bouncing around, and then we all end up in Boston. Is great, yeah.
We ended up in Boston doing the Equalizer together, and then literally just ended up working on project after project after project, because we do the same thing, you know, same kinds of characters, but we just ended up working together for the next...
A bunch, yeah.
A lot of projects together.
It's one of those things, like the film business, it gives a life and all that, but it's like, you know, not everybody's awesome, but you know, you meet people that you love in a short period of time. I mean, you get to know each other in a really, when the consequences are high, man, you get to see who people are, and you get close to people. It's really nice.
Well, the sexual tension up here, you can cut with that. But I do want to, so this, I'm very serious when I say this. What's so great about Solid? What do you think is great about Solid?
Oh, man.
You've worked together for years?
This guy.
I would just, I think just the energy, you know, the energy and the curiosity, and like, for me, I don't mess with anybody that isn't looking to look at the next creation of themselves, that's not looking, listen, we can have disagreements, we can have this and that, but if you're not willing to take responsibility and ownership for your life, and look at maybe there's another way to look at it or a better way to do it, I'm just not interested in that conversation. And so it already cuts down very few people that I talk with or interact with in my life, which is a win. That's a win. But the people that I do are the very best of the people that I've ever gotten to meet in my life, and I didn't come for that, you know. I didn't come for some of the most beautiful energies to be around in my life that enrich me and encourage me. And when I'm sick and hurt, you know, I've been hurt, and after you're done fighting, it's dark when the lights are off, right? Phone doesn't ring very much and all that, and then and segueing into the other things, and it's the film business is kind of out of sight, out of mind, and everybody is really self-interested, and they got to do the next thing, and that's all understood, man. But Solid's graciousness, generosity, and kindness, you know, like, you know, he comes to me and is like, hey man, do you need to be fed? Do you need me to go grocery shopping? Do you want me to just sit with you? And it's things like that, you know, that are second to none. That you find out who people are, and it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing family to be a part of. Yeah.
And I'm going to turn that to you. What's so great about Tate? Really, what's so great about Tate?
Made me cry. Oh gosh, certain people are misconstrued because of what they've been through. There's a Japanese quote that says, when certain things are broken, they are mended and become even more beautiful than they were before. If we had only able to see people's Tate's a beautiful soul. And I wish people would see the energy of this human soul. He's helped so many more people than himself. Then he knows. He's a big teddy bear and an ass swimmer. But that's not any of his qualities of who he is inside that heart. He's a giving person. I love you like a brother. I wish we do our cop duo soon.
Oh, you guys definitely need to do a buddy picture. But I want to say on behalf of the fans, I feel, since I'm the moderator, I can do this, that we can tell right away that you both are beautiful people. And we're very proud that you are part of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much for coming to Empire Fam.
It was Tate, not you.
Well, I know, but I feel bad.
Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.